So hello everyone, good morning or afternoon or evening, depending where you are joining us today from. I want to welcome you all today to our webinar on the topic, Bridging the Gap Between Content and Commerce. In this webinar, we will learn how to satisfy and convert your customers using rich personalized experiences that only content can achieve. You will also discover how integrating commerce capabilities with a CMS will allow you to provide a better shopping experience for your users and improve your website sales performance. Before we get started, I do want to go quickly over a few housekeeping items. All the participants have been muted in order to avoid any background noise. We also encourage you to submit any questions or comments via the Zoom chat box that you may have, and we will address them at the end during our Q&A session. At the end of the webinar, we will send all registrants of the webinar a follow-up email with the webinar recording, as well as links to the slides and a brochure of the solutions that we will be presenting here today. So with that, I would like to present our speakers. So one sec. So today, our speakers are myself, Amit Gutin. I am the product marketing manager here at Easy Systems. As part of the product team, I work closely with both the product, sales, and marketing teams. I'm responsible for staying up to date on the competition, as well as having a clear understanding of customer and partner needs in order to better inform on product strategy and product roadmap. The next speaker I would like to introduce is Mathias, who is founder and CEO of Comwrap Germany and Switzerland. He's a firm believer in radically customer-centric approach and founded Comwrap as an active contribution to the new digital consultancy movement. Mathias has been in the digital industry since 1998. He's been a management consultant in business, IT, marketing transformation, projects for companies of finance, pharma, and healthcare sectors. His company focuses on transforming challenges into opportunities by creating integrated digital strategies that leverage the success of customers. And the third person joining us today is Frank, which Frank is an e-commerce specialist and co-founder of Silver Solutions. He is responsible for IT and product development, and he has been an IT specialist for over 25 years. The company he co-founded, Silver Solutions, is a software company and service provider who focus on facilitating B2B e-commerce for companies in the technology-oriented industries worldwide. Our agenda for today is the following. We will discuss what is the business value of merging two platforms. We will understand how the buyer's journey has evolved in the past few years and the impact it has had on how organizations approach digital transformation. We will also dive into the three main reasons companies should look to bridge the gap between commerce and content and learn about the different solutions on the market and what their different approaches are. We will then move into introducing EasyCommerce. We will understand its positioning in the market and the value proposition it provides. We will finish this presentation off with reviewing a few use cases that EasyCommerce is a best fit for. So without further ado, let's get this webinar started. So to understand why it is important for companies to bridge the gap between content and commerce, you need to understand how these two distinct platforms actually began to converge. 20 years ago, content management system and e-commerce platform were separate solutions that served very different purposes. Fast forward, and you can notice that both approaches have slowly began to amalgamate and share many features, such as the landing page manager, product catalog, and the list really goes on. Merging these two solutions allows your organization to increase engagement and accelerate your sales cycle. And why is this actually important? Well, a recent study done by Gartner proves that customer experience is king. And companies that actually want to have a successful digital transformation need to be really able to adapt their business models for the new market reality. Now, what's interesting, it's not really the companies that are driving this change. In fact, it is driven by the customer. Today, customers expect personalized experience with relevant content in relation to what they're doing anytime, anywhere, in any format, coming from any type of device that they choose when purchasing a product. Two interesting facts indicated by Gartner recently is that 70% of e-commerce will begin to move from B2C to B2B models and will focus on the individual customer experience. The second is that an organization that's fully invested in all types of online personalization will outsell companies that have not by more than 30%. And why is this important? We're seeing that experience is what is actually coming to be the center of the decision-making of the consumer. In fact, one sec, let me just move my slide. 64% of people found that customer experience is more important than price when it comes to purchasing something. So what we're really starting to see is that we're really dealing with a digitally conscious consumer, a consumer that expects to have a unified experience on any type of, from any type of channel that he uses, and arrives to these different websites, whether it be a marketing website or a transaction website when making a decision. So let's actually see how the user journey has actually evolved. In this image, you can see that the user journey really used to be very linear and used to possess many silos. There used to be a distinction between a consumer that purchases on the digital world and the one that purchases in the physical world. On top of that, there was a distinction between a marketing website and commerce website. And they each had a very different feel. They each provided a very different experience. But fast forward to now, and you can see that this journey has become very unpredictable and is very distributed. And in order for an organization to really be successful, it really needs to start thinking in a unified way. In fact, marketers and customer experience professionals know that having a product or a solution alone won't bring you new business anymore or retain customers that you already have. So you really have to create that holistic customer experience, no matter if it's in the physical world or the digital world. And the reason for this is really because, a consumer can start his journey on Instagram. You see your product on Instagram or Snapchat, then he'll jump to his desktop and then finally complete the purchase maybe in the retail store or even in the mobile. So you have to create him that same experience no matter from where he's coming from. And that's actually what we're starting to see. And when you provide him a fragmented experience, he's more likely to leave. And according to a Salesforce survey that was conducted, 74% of people will likely switch to brands if they found the purchasing process to be difficult. So if that navigation process from going from the physical store to the online store and your marketing site to the transaction site is very different, he will likely abandon you, and that will affect your bottom line and just really impact your business in a negative way. So a great use case for this that is very typical and we're seeing in many companies is, for example, Lego.com. So many companies today, whether it be in the media industry or the finance industry, it doesn't really matter, is, they've invested millions in their digital transformation. And just this Lego site, for example, you can see, for example, the marketing site provides a really great experience. So it's very rich with different types of content, whether it be video, images, stories about the Lego characters. They even created a show behind it. It really drives you and wants you to take that next step. And that next step would be to actually purchase that product. But when I actually wanted to purchase this Ninja Go product, and for my cousin, for example, I couldn't find it, and two, yeah, there was no content relating to the Ninja Go. So I got a very different experience from the marketing site and the transaction site, and that really can frustrate the consumer and ultimately really make him leave to purchase this product somewhere else, and that's something that we really don't want to happen. So as you can see, that those are some of the gaps that are very typical across different industries when trying to complete a successful digital transformation. And we believe that these gaps need to be bridged. And how do you actually do that? Well, the first is actually solving this problem called the two-site syndrome. And that's actually what I showed a moment ago. The two-site syndrome, in fact, many companies suffer from this. They suffer in supporting a great experience in the discover and explore phase of the customer compared to the buying phase. Less than 1/3 of companies surveyed do not provide less than 1/3 of companies surveyed show that they do not unify the content in commerce through a shared technology platforms. And again, this strengthens it. It provides a very difficulty in navigating through the websites, a very fractured digital experience, and in the end leads to abandoning shopping carts and really reducing your conversion rates. But besides looking at the customer, there are also a lot of benefits if you bridge this gap internally in your organization. And one of those gaps that you have to fix is that two admin interface for editors. So when you have two separate systems, you actually have multiple interfaces now that require you to train your editors on. So one, this increases your cost. It increases the amount of resources you need to dedicate. And that's just really a waste, not cost effective, and really a waste of how looking inside the organization, how to manage these two systems. If you had one single application, then your editors you just simplify it for your editors, and they can just learn one system really quickly and be more professional on it. The third but not least reason you should bridge the gap is really the two technology stacks for developers. So when you have two different systems, working side by side, they really can be based on two different stacks. So on one hand, you can have them based on Java and .NET, and then on PHP or Symfony. But if you have one single application, it actually, takes away a lot of these barriers and silos that may exist. For example, by having one single application, it will require you less maintenance. It will allow your developers to really develop faster. They'll have a similar framework to access content repository. They won't need to create and customize connectors to integrate between these two systems and upgrade them. So if one of them updates, to make sure that they still are compatible with one another. And a big example of this that has recently happened in the industry, and this problem arises, is the acquisition of Magento by Adobe. So you have the two leaders, one in the CMS realm and one in the commerce realm, that are now working together, but there's one big problem. Magento, for example, is open source. It's based on PHP. And on the other hand, you have Adobe, which is .NET and closed source. So the question is really, how are they going to integrate these two systems? Will the experience using both of these systems still be really a great experience, a unified experience? And if not, will that lead to customers actually, abandoning those websites that they're on? So that's a real world example that's happening right now. So what we want to do from a business perspective, to have a successful digital transformation, we want to remove these barriers. We want all these technologies to work and communicate seamlessly, whether it be from the engagement stage, where you have a CMS platform, social networks, bots, or email, all the way to the, to completing a transaction on the e-commerce site. But obviously also to integrate very easily with those internal solutions, such as the PIMs and ERP systems that your websites may be pulling information from. So that's in the end that unified experience that I just mentioned that you want to have from engagement to transaction. So there are many approaches out there, trying to solve this issue. And I'm not here to say that one approach is better than the other, but it is important to know what are these different approaches available in the market, because by understanding them, you'll know which one meets your project needs. So one of the examples you have, is a CMS solution with simple e-commerce features. For example, a quick checkout process, product catalog, and comparison features. On the other hand, it could be an e-commerce platform with a landing page builder. Or you have those two separate systems working side by side, such as Magento and Adobe. And last but not least, the approach that we believe in at Easy is that one single application for both CMS and e-commerce. So we really believe in this approach, and with that, I would like to introduce our solution, EasyCommerce. EasyCommerce is an add-on that transforms Easy Platform into an all-in-one system to manage both your e-commerce and content. This solution is highly customizable and extendable. It is fully built on our latest version, which is the V2, and will provide you with one single application to maintain your different CMS and e-commerce needs. You'll be able to spark an interest in your customers and guide them to completing a sale much more quickly. So how is actually EasyCommerce built, and from an infrastructure standpoint? Well, you can see it's really comprised of multiple layers. Our infrastructure is built on top of Symfony, and on top of that, Easy Platform is available as open source, and then we also have an enterprise edition. EasyCommerce is built on top of that. So we have EasyCommerce, which comes with features such as the product catalog, unified search, the checkout process, the form builder, and many other features. But then we have our EasyCommerce Advanced, which is coming out later this year, and it's going to have an integration with different systems such as ERP and PIM systems. We'll have advanced B2B features and our e-content. But most importantly, it also has the ability to connect to other solutions such as personalization systems, such as our service Easy Personalization, so that you can really provide those individualized experiences for the people who are visiting your websites. So where do we actually see EasyCommerce position? Well, we're really targeting those mid to large customers, delivering solutions for complex B2B projects. And as you can see, we don't see ourselves as, for example, as the WooCommerce or Shopify, which are for more small businesses who have very low complexity. Our sweet spot would be those medium-sized but very complex, that require very complex projects. And some of our key differentiators are, one, we have a flexible and agile platform for projects with a high degree of complexity and sophistication. We allow quicker development on the CMS and better time to market, because it's one single application both for content and commerce that uses same content objects for both the commerce and content end. So this is where we really believe EasyCommerce can be positioned at. maybe Matthias, do you want to maybe add something on this from a partner perspective?
Yeah, I'd love to. Actually, what we do most of the time is we do implement Magento solutions. So I know a great deal on that type of system, as well Ecommerce. And if I compare what I already know of EasyCommerce, if I compare this to Magento, I wouldn't position Easy, especially in that typical e-commerce use cases where like merchants have a great deal of like, let's say 100,000 single products focusing on let's say campaigns and all that stuff. So if we are in the typical e-commerce case, maybe Easy is not yet the fitting solution, but we have several use cases that come up frequently where we really have a hard deal of integrating a standard e-commerce solution on. Where I definitely see Easy in the forefront, which is like, say, for instance, publishers, which is a typical use case with paywalls. I mean, you have to pay a small amount of money in order to enter a specific piece of content, where you have maybe subscriptions on a monthly basis or yearly basis, where those publishers sell combined digital and print subscriptions and all that stuff. So that's pretty hard to be integrated with a standard e-commerce solution, where I see Easy really, yeah, like in a pole position, especially based on the reason that Easy uses the same content objects for both that commerce products part and the content part. So it's basically like an extension of what you already have. Or on the other hand, if it comes to complex B2B use cases, I mean, sometimes you do have customers that have complex products with tons of product variations, PDFs, drawings, technical informations, and all that stuff. So that's rather hard to implement with a standard e-commerce solution, which is, in my opinion, basically the sweet spot of Easy, right?
Yes. And that actually brings us to the value proposition of EasyCommerce. So, one, we believe there's less competition. There's not many solutions out there that are providing that one single application. Uh, it allows us to go after more strategic projects. Those big projects that require that blend of content and commerce capabilities. Less time to market, as mentioned before, because it's based on Easy platform, on the same content objects and the same development stack. Your developers will really be able to easily bring a project more quickly to the market. Higher value to existing customers. We've extended it by adding those commerce capabilities, which we can show a little later. Entry to new verticals. So for example, for partners that are experts in the publishing and media sector, maybe can now enter the retail vertical, because now we have more commerce capabilities offered now with EasyCommerce. And of course, again, reduced learning curve that impacts both the editors and the developers, whether it be, it's based on PHP for the developers, or it's one single system that the editors really need to learn and to become knowledgeable on to use. So with that, we actually want to do, we're going to start a discussion with Matthias and Fredrik, who will also jump in, of different use cases that we believe is Easy's strong point, and that's where EasyCommerce should be considered. So the first one is complex e-commerce checkout. So what this is basically, it's a scenario where a merchant sells digital services combines a lot of content and information. And and I'm going to show here an example, and then Matthias, if you can also expand on it, is we can take, for example, Shira, which is a producer of dental products, and what they're actually selling here are webinars with many attendees. So they're using the CMS to create the webinars that in this example have multiple dates. As you can see, one is November 21st, one is 29. But you also have the ability to attach a lot of data in the basket and also more than one attendee during the checkout process. So here you can see we did a very simple example here, but you have two attendees when starting to purchase the webinar, or you have the ability also to, once the person check out, he will be able to also download a technical documentation relating to that dental product that he's interested in, that he's coming to see, that he's getting a presentation on in the webinar.
Yeah, and normally this will be the case where you have on the one hand the CMS, then jump into a shop system for the checkout, and then you have the headache on how to really deliver or provide those additional digital content pieces like the documentation and stuff. You would then maybe send it via email, and in terms of the packs, I mean the seats that are left, you might need to use a third system in order to manage that, right?
Yes. The second use case that we believe really that EasyCommerce can be a great fit is subscription services. And what we mean by this is, for example, it's a very typical B2B use case. It's where the merchant has a product that you can subscribe to, and the price is really impacted by a different criteria. And one of our great references for this is actually the Economist. So, there in a regular scenario, B2C scenario, it's like there's one fixed price for that product, but in a subscription base, there's a lot of ways to configure how the price will change. And so in the Economist case, it's really it really is determined by the duration of the subscription, or the type of subscription you want. If you want digital, or you want to add print. In some markets, the duration can range from 4 to 12 weeks, or it can range from 3 months to a year. So that really can impact the cost of the subscription. And this type of scenario is something that EasyCommerce can really be a great fit for. But you can see this really in numerous other examples. From your experience, Matthias, are there a lot of other scenarios that you see in the projects that you've worked on that this could be a great fit for?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have a great deal of customers that are publishers, and I mean, you do have that subscription, and you see the link renew existing subscription. That means you have to somewhere manage the subscription and know when it ends in order to be able to renew it. So that's like a typical headache use case with a standard e-commerce solution. When I think back, I guess we spent like 800 days in order to customize a publishing ready edition for Magento that works closely with an ERP system in the backend, and we literally touched everything in the Magento system in order to really get along with those subscription engines alone. And the one thing you didn't show is the gift subscription, which is even harder, where you not simply buy a print or digital subscription, but you can also select and configure a gift, which can sometimes be like a t-shirt, for example, and the t-shirt has colors and sizes. So imagine this: you have a core product and then a gift to it, and you have to configure that gift. If you never implemented it, you would say, okay, that's easy, right? But if you once try to implement it with a standard e-commerce solution, you will know how much headache that is. And it's not only subscriptions with gifts, but in the end, those publishers would ask for a feature that recognizes existing subscribers and deducts from prices in the merchant shop, for example, in the merchandise shop. So there's a whole lot of use cases, especially in the publishing industry, where you would really have a headache of implementing it with a standard e-commerce solution.
Mm-hmm. And the third, but not last, that use case that we see EasyCommerce, being a great choice is these complex products. And what I mean by this is it's a scenario where the merchant has a complex product with tons of variations, a lot of technical information, and product sheets. And this is when I want to show how you can actually do it on EasyCommerce. We'll just do we'll touch on a simple example, and then we'll actually go to a reference. So let me just share my screen for a sec. One sec. Apologize. Okay.
There we go.
So here you can see the administrative interface this is a demo of EasyCommerce instance, and you can see the back end of EasyCommerce. And we'll just go really to a product. And so I'll go to one of the products that I know there's variations on. There we go. So here, for example, you can see I can add, there's no really limit. You can add here different fields of different information. There's also the ability to pull this information from different systems, from PIM and so on, to populate these different fields. And there's no limitation. Here I may have about 10 fields, but for very complex products where you can have over 100 or even 500 fields explaining this field. So here you have that ability to add that. And you also have the ability to really create different variations of the product. So here the variations for the refrigerator example, it really is, what changes is based on color and size. But you can also you can add other different fields that will determine how this variation change. And when we go to the front end, if I have to look at it, one sec. You can see this is the variation, and then if I choose, let's say 30-inch and white, the picture has changed, the price has also changed. But obviously for more complex products, you have way more complex configurations, way more attributes associated with it, and EasyCommerce can really handle that. So let me just go back to my slides. So as I mentioned before, so basically, EasyCommerce can really manage data in PIM and really import information from PIM system. You can add more than 500 attributes per product. It can really handle complex search requirements, whether it be content or product related. And you can really add a lot of variations and embed technical information into that product. And one of the use cases that we have is Burkert, which is it's a German manufacturer for valves for airlines, for washing machines and trains. And where the company really needs to really consider which valve they would like, they'll probably want to do a comparison between the different valves. and 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 you can see it's very a complex product. You have in this picture, you only see like 10, 10 attributes or fields that explain the valve, but if you visit their website, they had over 500. So EasyCommerce can really do a great job in handling this type of scenario when it comes to complex products. Maybe you can also expand on that from your experience, Matthias, from the type of projects that you've worked on recently or in the past.
Mm. Yeah, mostly. I mean, we just recently had a label printing company where we built a B2B shop on. And what they had is they had a marketing product, which then contained around 500 sub products. The stuff you were just showing in the back end, where you could easily add those variations. So they had hundreds of sub variations for different printer types and all that stuff. And the prices changed per sub product, and they had tiers on how many products you would then buy. So actually, it was like a variations in price matrix, which you can. I mean, you can do this with almost any type of professional shop system. But the more products you have, the more complicated it becomes to be handled, especially in the API at the end. So, and that's one sweet thing that I've seen this for the first time, by the way, in the back end, how it's being built up. That's what I just said in the first place. You are using the same content objects for commerce as you would use for products, and then you can easily enhance those right on the spot, right where you would put the content. There you can like add variations and customize the product object model. So that's a really nice thing.
So really, if you guys want to, if anyone would like to learn more about EasyCommerce, I highly suggest visiting the EasyCommerce website, or if you want to schedule a demo, then do feel free to reach out, and one of our representatives will gladly do a demo of our solution. Besides that, I really now want to open the floor to any questions people may have. So if everyone can submit their questions in the Q&A, and we'll try to address them one by one. Frank can also address them, or Matthias, or myself. So we'll now move to the Q&A portion.
Yeah. While people are thinking about their questions and maybe typing, I have one for you. And that's a thing that occurs frequently in B2B and B2C use cases, which is basically the RMA workflow. So say, for instance, you have a customer that orders, let's say, shoes. And what do? They order shoes in 3 sizes in order to try them on. So they try them on, and then they want to return 2 of those shoes, basically. And it's normally, if you don't have an RMA workflow, you would then start to communicate through email or through telephone, which is pretty costly. So is there something like an RMA workflow where you can select those products from the existing order and then type, okay, I want to return those 2 products, and maybe print out a label or something?
Yeah, maybe I can answer this one, Amit, or yeah?
Yeah,
We have two solutions. One is in the EasyCommerce, you have a simple RMR form, which means you can fill out the form, add the product's invoice date and all the details, and send this structured data to the shop owner. The more sophisticated one, if you have a lot of orders and you expect maybe not a lot, but maybe a given amount of returns, we also can connect the RMA directly to the ERP system. And that means that the RME is directly created in the ERP and then follows the internal workflow, which is already there. And that would reduce the amount of work. What we did for Burkert is exactly this type of process that the customer prints out a QR code, puts it on his package, and he will also give all the details to the RMR in the form. So when the package arrives, they just scan it, and they already know to which customer does it belong to, and what is the process, is there still warranty on it or not, and all this kind of things. This is like a very integrated version, which reduces the process cost for you as an owner and then the system as well. Of course, that's not out of the box, but it's possible because we have this EAP layer and we can connect these kind of workflows to an internal system.
Mm-hmm. Frank, what are some payment options that you guys have out of the box?
Yeah, we have like the standard ones, like PayPal. We have on request Ingenico or WorldPay, Telecash, and some others. But we are using an open platform for that, for the payment services. It's called JMS Payment Bundle. It's a well-known bundle from the Symphony world, and we already have partners building up own local payment gateways, for example, for Norway or other countries, and add more payment providers to EasyCommerce. So we already offer a lot of providers, but it's open for new ones as well.
Another question is, if I want to set up a voucher for free shopping or provide a price deduction, for example, is that possible, and how would you be able to do it?
Yeah, we have a voucher plugin on the roadmap, probably for next year, and there you can exactly do that. So that means you can offer marketing vouchers, means you can send out campaigns with the voucher code or publish them on different channels, and then the people can use that, and it could be like a percentage of the card as a reduction, maybe shipping free, or in addition, we also offer then personalized vouchers. Let's say a customer complains about a product, then you can give them as an add-on a voucher code, which is connected to this account, and then you can use this one time on the next order, for example. So that's something we will provide as a plugin in the future. Or you combine that, of course, with the landing page system or the personalization engine. So there are a lot of possibilities to use this voucher plugin in the future.
And yeah, sorry, go Mathias.
Yeah. Here's one connected to the tax calculation when it comes to B2B and different B2C business models and selling in the US. There's a lot of complex tax rules in there. Is there an option, or how would this be done in EasyCommerce?
Yeah, by standard, of course, we have a standard tax calculation, as other shop solutions have that. So you can define taxes for the different delivery countries you would like to ship to. It's especially for Europe. It's good thing to start with. Also an importer where you can import these taxes for Europe. For US, it's a little bit complexer because it's the tax depends a little bit on the state and what kind of customers you are, and there we would recommend to include a tax service such as Vertex in the US, for example. We did that for a customer, where the tax calculation is done then by a third-party software, which handles all the very complex tax stuff in the US. That's for years. I would recommend to use this one. For other countries, you can go for the setup. You can do it on your own in the backend.
Thank you.
Okay, so I don't see any other questions. So I think we're also on it's almost 55 minutes, so I think we can wrap it up. So first of all, I would like to thank Matthias and Frank for joining us today. Just to again restate, I will be sending out a recording of this webinar to all the registrants, and also attach a few files, a brochure of EasyCommerce and links to the slides. Thank you, John, for mentioning that. So I will send all that information, so please be on the lookout for that, in the email. And that will be all. Thank you so much, and hope you guys have a great rest of the day.